Welcome to Allie's Attic, where you never know what kind of surprise you'll find in my attic. I'm your host, Allie, and today my surprise is a two-piece UK band with an old-fashioned name and a strange mixture of musical influence. From Victorient band, please welcome Sam and Tansy. Hi, guys.
Hi, Allie.
Hello, Ellie.
How are you guys?
Good, thank you.
I'm fine.
Yeah, thank you for having us on the show.
Oh, thank you so much for coming. Okay, so basically, I kind of know the story of you guys, but share it with everybody else. Sam, when you started getting interested in music, and then Tansy, when you started getting interested, right up to how you guys kind of got together and formed the band, and all the things that have been happening for you since then.
Cool, wow. I mean, have you got like about 3 days?
No, I don't.
Basically, one thing we both have in common is we both come from musical families. For both of us, our uncles were both musicians and sort of the most important musical figures in our life. So for me, from my side, I always remember my uncle playing guitar from when I was very, very little, and he had played loads of different bands, from like sort of punk bands to rock bands to sort of a 70s British glam band, but sort of in the 80s, all the way through to sort of like a weird sort of avant-garde rock band that were quite surreal, and various other musical things that he did. And so through him, I sort of got the bug for guitar playing and rock music. But for me personally, when I was a child, because of my age, and because of both of our ages, because we're similar in age, we just grew up during the 1980s. So most of our influences come from the 80s. So things like, for me, it was just like hearing a lot of the electro pop at the time, and a lot of the rock music and stuff like that. And then by the time sort of the early 90s rolled around, and I was sort of interested in playing music further, because when I was younger I'd played like a little bit of keyboard. I decided I really wanted to play guitar. My uncle sort of taught me. He sort of showed me my first few chords and sort of showed me round things, and then I started getting interested in like the idea of being in a band and forming bands. And then throughout the 90s, basically, I was just in a host of different bands, from everything from like extreme sort of underground heavy metal through to like rock music to like electronic music. I've just sort of dabbled in everything really, because I have a very broad spectrum of different musics and things that I like. And yeah, that's pretty much, I'm trying to think, what did I do? Yeah, it's pretty much it up to the present day. And through technology, because I have a background in music technology, I sort of became interested in recording. I started with like a 4-track and things like that in the 90s, and then I eventually got into like computer recording and home recording, and I sort of built my gear up more and more and started to get more and more involved with music. And then in 2013, about May 2013, Tansy and I met through a mutual friend, and we both became friends. And we had a lot in common, like our lives sort of crossed over, we had a lot of common ground, and we became friends. And then through that friendship, obviously, we ended up getting into a relationship together. And then pretty much, as soon as we got into a relationship together, as soon as I'd sort of finished a previous musical project, I said to Tansy, I really want to do a band with you, because, not only do I love you, but you also like all the same things as me. You're really talented too, and I think if we put our combined forces together, we can make a band in our own sort of image.
Wow, awesome. And Tansy, how old were you when you started getting interested in music?
Mine was quite early on. I had, like Sam said, my uncle was in several bands in and around the local area. And when I grew up, most of my music's influences came from mostly my parents, my uncle and my bigger sister, because my bigger sister was very much into Adam and the Ants, Madonna, White Snake, Def Leppard, all that. And my mum and dad were very much big into the 80s soul at the time, so I had a mixture, but my uncle was definitely the more sort of rock side of it. He was very obsessed with John Lennon. And I just grew up just liking music and having a passion for it. I didn't actually pick up an instrument at all. I was bought an instrument on my 12th birthday, but I never actually played it. But I did always sing, and I did always try and follow on songs from listening to them off of a CD player I had. And I did audition once for a band, but they turned around and told me that I just sounded a bit too unique, not theatrical, so I never got that audition. But it mostly came from when I was younger, growing up in the 80s sort of pop, rock and stuff, and it was only really until my late teens, early 20s, the music got heavier, because I used to frequent a club up in London called Rock Scene, and they used to play a lot of metal, but because there wasn't as many clubs, a lot of music was mixed, so you got a lot of metal, a lot of black metal, you got gothic music. Obviously it was a big time for new metal that was coming in. And then there was these other alternative styles. So basically my CD collection just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then I kind of went back to listen to very old stuff from the 70s as well. But I think I just used to sing along to things, but I never picked up an instrument. And then when I met Sam, we seemed to like an awful lot of the same music, except Sam's record collection was a lot bigger than mine. So then my extension of music got huge. And we just decided, I think because Sam knew I hadn't been in a band and I wanted to be in one, he said, oh, why don't we just do a project together? So, okay then. So I started singing, and it's going to sound very egotistical. It came out quite naturally. And then as Victorient has grown, we've improved because we've watched videos, we've watched little tips here and there, so my voice sounds a lot better now than it did when we did the first album. So that's basically rounds that up.
Now, when did you guys do your first album?
Well, basically, like I said, we sort of we put down our official formation at the beginning of 2014. But really, I suppose you could argue as soon as we got together, we pretty much tossed around the idea of being in a band together. First half-heartedly, but then the more we sort of talked about it, like most things, you sort of talk yourself into it and you kind of go, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense. And so in 2014, we recorded, we wrote and recorded our first single as a sort of tester, and it was called Black Summer. And we released it, was it April? I think it was April 2014, I think we released that song. And then later on that year, when was it? I think it was about October time, we released the first version of our song Storm Within. And then this is where the story gets a bit complicated, I'm afraid, so you have to bear with me.
Sure.
And then so we did Storm Within, and then in early 2015 we started writing and recording what was the shell of the track Violin, and we were about to finish recording it, and one of the independent record labels we'd sent our music off to offered us a record deal as we were recording it. So we kind of put it out as a single, but we knew we were going to put it on our album. And then basically what happened was, it turns out we didn't find this out until about September 2015, so about 3 or 4 months later. Sort of after we'd finished recording, that the label we'd signed to was a massive con and a fraud of Interpol proportions. That the guy was wanted in like 20 different countries, and I'm not exaggerating.
Oh.
Like I spoke to bands from all around the world, and this guy ran a small label, but he had like 10 different identities and stuff like that. And now the website for the record label's still up, but it sells like dodgy-looking mobile phones. It's a proper Interpol thing. I mean, we signed a contract, but as it turned out, we hadn't given him any music. And because under the law, how it works is that I think it's something like if you don't get a response from someone within a certain period of time, like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, then your contract becomes null and void because effectively they're not communicating with you. So the guy wasn't communicating with us, and that's because he was using a company to collect his royalties that were actually that were based in the UK, that were linked to like a fraud. They've been investigated by Her Majesty's Fraud Squad and stuff like that. It was seriously, it's one of those things where when you see like a movie, you see like a really young, fresh rock band being screwed. It's like that kind of thing. But obviously, it didn't affect us as much as other bands who actually had released music with them, and popular bands who had royalties held back.
Oh my god! Oh my god! That is insane.
I know. So we were lucky in this respect. So we decided we purposely were going to hold back the music and not release it. And then basically around that time, we'd sort of signed like a management deal as well. But that sort of only lasted a little while, and that sort of fell apart really. So we found ourselves at the end of 2016. I have to say something else that's quite funny that goes with it. At the end of 2016, we found ourselves. The end of 2015, we found ourselves without a record label that was fraudulent, and we found a management company we'd signed with. It just wasn't working, and we'd basically been dropped. And on top of that, 2 days before Christmas, our neighbour had set fire to our building. And so the day before Christmas Eve, our neighbour had set fire to our building. So everybody had to be evacuated, and we were all stood outside. And a woman, one of our neighbours, who was heavily pregnant, actually was about to give birth in her car, and she had to be driven to hospital. It was like a proper EastEnders Christmas special.
Oh my dear God! Well, they say things happen in 3, but I hope nothing else happens to you guys. Holy crap!
well, there's much more. Seriously, I was joking. I was joking when I said, "Have you got 3 days?"
Wow.
And then basically, what else happened? We decided at that point, look, we're just going to release our album ourselves on our own label. And we just decided originally to give it away for free. So we released the Old Curiosity Shop on the 4th of March 2016. And that was a collection of all the recordings we'd made sort of during the summer of 2015.
Wow. I don't even know what to say. I really, oh my goodness, you guys. I'm so sorry all that stuff happened to you. I mean, it's so bizarre to listen to. It is. It's like a movie, like you watch. You don't expect to hear it.
It got worse.
How did it get worse? How?
Well, basically, so obviously we released it on the 4th of March, and then in 1 week in May, our neighbour, the one who set fire to the building, he's got really bad problems with drugs, and he has really, really bad people come around. Anyway, he let some of his friends sleep in our communal bin cupboard. And basically, we were trying to get rid of them, not us, people in the building. And I'd gone down to help Tansy. And the janitor had taken the lock off the door to try to evict them because they'd locked themselves in. And I picked up the lock, and inadvertently, I'd cut my hand. And my finger that I cut eventually became bigger. And then about a week later, one of our guinea pigs died. And then I'm not making this up. It sounds like I'm yanking your chain, but it's actually a true story. And then 2 weeks later, the cut I had became infected to the point where I thought I had a wart. I went to the doctors, and they told me I had a tumour on my finger, but it wasn't a cancerous tumour. It was just a massive growth. So I had to spend all of summer 2016 waiting for surgery to have the tumour removed from my finger. Then the cut got massively infected. And I had to be rushed to hospital to have some of the stitches out. I nearly passed out with the pain. My finger was black and yellow, like a sort of bruised banana. And then I went back to the doctors, and they took these stitches out. And I still have some numbness in that finger now, but obviously I managed to train myself to play guitar. And then we started working on the follow-up to the Old Curiosity Shop.
You know what? It takes a lot to get me speechless, but I'm actually... I don't need, holy God, and wow. And you're the guitar player, for God's. Okay, wow.
And it's on my fretting hand as well, so it was my index finger on my fretting hand as well. So I had to relearn how to play guitar.
Oh my goodness. Okay, please tell me you moved.
No, still living here.
Okay, are things...
And even worse, the neighbour has actually turned his flat into a brothel on the crack then.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, this is going to be the craziest interview I've ever done ever in my life.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No. It's my heart goes out to you. Oh my God, all those things, one after another. And then to be a guitar player and to actually form your band after everything that happened and continue going on. You're fretting, one of your fretting fingers you can't use. Oh, Jesus. Okay, I don't even know where to go from here, you guys. Okay, anyways, on with this. So how did you regroup and continue then?
Oh, well, I'll take it from here. I think what it was is just to get down and keep going because it was just an incredibly huge drama. So Sam went through some physio, strengthened his finger. We had to do everything in, was it drop we dropped and
No, we tuned down to E flat.
yeah, we tuned down to E flat, so everything was different. So we had to change a lot of the music, but it didn't affect it too much because a lot of bands tend to do that anyway. Especially when they go live, they might just sound a little. Well, they're going to sound a little different to what they sound like in the studio. So we did that. We started writing a load of lyrics songs, and I spent quite a lot of time typing out lyrics, and then Sam and myself went over them, and then Sam would type out his lyrics, and then we would start merging them. So when we made Revolutions Part 1, which is the album that's out now, it's a bit of a mixture of how we felt and how we currently feel right now. So a lot of the songs, especially Ghost City, very much reflects how we feel. That particular songs sort of forwarded at the sort of gentrification, because as we live near central London, and we're seeing an awful lot of that happening at the moment. It was also an influence by a book that Sam was reading by Ian Sinclair, and it talked about how London's actually completely changed from wartime all the way up to present day, to how people are being outpriced in the city, and a lot of people are kind of losing their homes quite a lot. Hence why you get a lot of problems come down into the more outer skirts of London itself. So hence why we have all those problems in the flats.
Yeah.
It's not good. So Go City was that influence, and then it just got quite political after that, because the first album had a lot of what I say sort of fantasy lyrics to it. I'd written a song called Siren, which Sam helped me write as well, and that was just like a fancy sort of sea shanty thing. Had a little influence by Rush as well, but we had quite a few on the old Curiosity Shop like that, and there was the only one that I would say was the nearest to this one was Storm Within, and that was influenced by the fact we used to watch Euronews on TV, and it was the time when the Ukraine was having a bit of a problem, so we ended up writing Black Summer, which mostly described what we saw on the TV, which just, I don't know, it was absolutely messed up part of the city where you just saw just tanks coming in and people sitting behind barricades, a bit like Les Miserables. You know, that part in the play where you see them all, they're behind the barricades, all just shooting.
Yeah.
And it's just bizarre. It's the Ukraine, but because of where it bordered, they were having such political turmoil. It made you sad. Euronews do this thing where they do a thing called no comment, and they just do rolling pictures. And then they were just filming all the people and the troops and everything, so you get an idea of what it's like without having, obviously, any commentary maybe affecting your point of view. So we just wrote it from there. But like I said, Revolutions, being that it's called Revolutions, is definitely a lot more political. So we've got the second one coming up, which will probably have similar topics, and that's going to be next year. But yeah, that was the story of how we ended up doing Revolutions Part 1 anyway.
Okay. For some reason, just so the listeners know, Tansy, when you talk, I'm getting this kind of staticky sound. I can hear you fine. I don't know why, but when Sam talks, it's great. I don't know. Anyways, it sounds, I can hear you, and I'll fix it up as much as I can. I mean, it's Skype, right? Okay. So you've had a lot of different influences then, not only everything that happened to you, but also, you know, watching everything in the Ukraine. I love the fact that Rush influenced you because they're Canadian and I'm Canadian. Now, the music that you guys produce is kind of like your bio says, a slight dash of dark romantic goth, a little rock, a nice helping of doom metal, and a strike of electronic 80s keyboard, which makes you absolutely unique. And your songs, people are going to find out if they've never heard of you. They are absolutely wonderful. I love them. I think they're so creative. And I can honestly look at you as a couple, and I could be wrong, but I'm going to hazard a guess here. I'm going to say Sam's more kind of the rock electronic, and you're the goth. Am I right?
Yeah, Yeah, we definitely share the classic rock side of it because one of my favourite bands is Bad Company.
Ooh.
That kind of the influence of my uncle. I believe he did support Free and Bad Company a long time ago at a festival in the UK.
Okay.
We don't actually have any photographic evidence other than one picture of him on stage, and that's it.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, the Gothic influence, I didn't really get to Goth until my late teens, early 20s. A group of my friends preferred the kind of metal to new metal sound, whereas I liked to go a bit further, and I started listening to a lot of the what everyone was just terming trad goth at that point, because goth had really gone to its subcultures. Like there was so much industrial goth, cyber goth, various other different gothic music, because then obviously later on it's grown into being symphonic metal, and I just really liked it. It resonated a lot towards the gothic music, and I think because when I normally listen to stuff with Sam, I think it's because I fell in love with the bass lines. The bass lines are fantastic with all the chorus. I mean, a lot of guitarists or other people might be like, "Oh, I really can't stand chorus," but I'm unfortunately a chorus junkie. If I could play guitar, I'd annoyingly stick chorus on everything, which would make it sound awful.
Oh my goodness.
Awful. I'd be like, no, it has to have chorus and everything. It has to have chorus. But yeah, I think it's the bass line. I think it was just very doomy. It was very romantic side. It's quite it's feminine in a way, but I think it's what is it? I think it'd be the yang to the yin of metal, and such thing. But the funny thing is goth was born out of the post-punk era. So it was born out of all that kind of aggressive punk, do-it-yourself, like the DIY type of music and fashion. And then as the 80s grew along, it exploded into what looks like a romantic look during the mid-80s. So, but I really resonated with it. But unfortunately, I was the only person in my group of friends who liked it. So I had to drag them kicking and screaming to a couple of goth clubs. And they were a bit like, "Oh, I don't like this music." But I at that point, I wasn't bothered. I was in the middle of the dance floor with my little beer, drinking and dancing away.
That is so cool.
I was going to say as well, actually, the production side of it, I was really thinking, for the production point of view, I was trying to channel Power Windows by Rush, because that album is brilliant the way it mixes rock guitar and electronic music and keyboards.
Yeah.
So there's elements of that there. I mean, we describe our music as dark wave gothic rock, meaning we take electronic drum machines, bass synthesizers and keyboards, and then we put organic instruments on top like guitar and vocals. So there's we both share a love of a lot of traditional gothic rock like the Cult and the Sisters of Mercy and the Mission. And we also love sort of classic rock. We're both massive fans of Kiss. Kiss are one of our favourite bands.
Yeah.
And people know how serious our music is. They wouldn't realise how much we love Kiss and how much they've influenced us.
Wow.
So we try to just blend a bunch of different influences of things that we love.
Well, it works well. And I mean, who isn't a fan of Kiss? But yeah, it works really well. You guys sound amazing. Now, the picture that you have, that you're sitting on a statue. Just tell me what that statue is, because I can't figure out what it is.
Basically, we live in South London, and our local massive park is Crystal Palace Park, and they have basically the Crystal Palace was originally erected in Hyde Park in the 18th century during the Victorian era, and it was a temporary exhibition, and they wanted to find a permanent home for it, so they moved it to what was then considered to be Upper Norwood and Penge Common, and they rebuilt it there. They built a massive Victorian park, and it became called the Crystal Palace. The area became called Crystal Palace. And then what happened was, in 1936, people still don't know to this day how it happened. They think maybe it was like a cigarette or something, but the whole thing burnt to the ground.
Ooh.
And all that was left was the foundations, the walls and the steps and everything, all the Victorian steps were there, and the statue is one of the things that were left. And so I don't actually know who the statue is. It's a really long-winded way of saying who it is, but it was originally a part of the exhibition, because that place was incredible. I mean, I think it was considered at one point one of the wonders of the world. not officially, but it was described as such because people travel from all around the world to come and see the exhibitions there. They had like an Egyptian themed wing, a Persian themed wing, a European themed wing. From the Americas, from the New World, they had a New World wing and stuff like that. They'd have different exhibitions, different times of the year and seasons. They'd have gardening of different kind of gardens, like Japanese gardens. They'd have classical concerts there and theatres there. It was an amazing building. Now
Okay.
it's just relic.
So the statue, and please tell me I'm wrong, or don't. It looks like a man, with his arms crossed in front of him, but it doesn't look like he has a head. Am I right?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my goodness.
Perfect.
Okay. That is awesome. I love the picture anyways. Okay, so
that was done by a friend John from Statue Photography. He does he actually inadvertently we also hired him to take pictures of our wedding as well, so he was our wedding photographer.
ooh, nice. 2 in 1. Okay, so where are you guys going from here?
Wow, where are we all going from here?
I meant with the band.
Yes. Well, basically, we've released Revolutions Part 1 on the 12th of June. It's a 4-track mini-album. And what we decided to do was, for the second part, we're going to make it a full 10-track album. And we're going to aim to have that out sort of next year. And in the meantime, we're going to do a bunch of singles. So we've already recorded the music for a single that we're going to release, a standalone track in September. And it's going to be called Before They Were Ghosts.
Ooh.
And then we're working on the music for another song that we're going to release as another single around about December time. And then we'll probably release another one, say around February time, and maybe have Revolutions Part 2 as a 10-track album without those songs, and it come out in about April time. Because what we're doing is we've re-recorded our first song, Black Summer. We completely re-recorded it, the music and everything, and we inverted the vocals. On the original, I sang and Tansy did the spoken word part. And this time, Tansy sings and I do the spoken word part. And we've recorded that especially for our friends at Nightbreed Radio.
Oh.
Because they have like a sponsorship page where they're generating money. So we gave it to them as like a track to help them with their sponsorship. And then on the 18th of August at 7 p.m. UK time, we're going to do a live Q&A on our Facebook page. So if anybody wants to come along and ask us questions, please be nice. You're more than welcome to.
I like that. Please be nice. Social media is so much fun.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, well, and everybody, they are on my Facebook page. So if you need to find them, you can find them through my Facebook. But also, it's Victorient Band, right, for your Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Victorian Band. But social media.
Yeah, you're on Twitter and all over. Now, I just want to tell you this before I ask my next question, because you keep talking about singles. On my website, out of the blue, a couple artists started sending me their singles to promote. So I've made an odds and ends page on my website, and when people send me singles, I throw them up there to help promote them. So that's available to you guys if you ever want to do that. Now, this is for each of you. If you had any advice to give any new artists out there, because my lord, you guys have gone through stuff, what would that advice be?
Well, I would say probably, I think you have to throw yourself in there to begin with, to see how you feel. I think I've heard this from every band or every person, it's to see how you are as a band. So it's definitely your influences. So you can normally find common ground with a band that you might listen to. So that would probably be one thing. Learning to get along with each other, depending on whether you're a duo, whether you're a band yourself, because I've not been in a 5-piece or a band bigger than that. Obviously, it's just myself and my husband, so it's a little different. I would say practice as much as possible and throw in as many ideas as you can, such as, looking at things that you like. I mean, you don't have to always stick with something political. You could do something completely random, like you've read a book and you can sing about that. Just keep going and passing lyrics and just different ideas and try different instruments out, different sounds. Keep practicing, definitely practicing. I mean, the biggest thing that we found is definitely YouTube. If people just go in there and just put in basic singing practice lessons, that can improve them. It's the same with all the guitar stuff, because YouTube is such a library now. that you can use that. And I think it's probably just practicing, seeing how you are as a band, getting together and getting your ideas down, trying to work with each other. It's not easy because creative people by our nature can be a bit annoying like that, where we was like, no, I want it this way. So you have to have that level of being, comparable. And I would probably say, as I said, just experiment to see what your sound is, because your sound goes over albums. You'll probably know when you listen to the first album of your favourite band, it sounds so much more different to the third to the fourth album, because they've grown as a band, so they end up knowing what they sound like. So, obviously, for example, AC/DC only can sound like AC/DC. Metallica only sounds like Metallica. Sister Mercy will only sound like Sister Mercy, because they grew into that. So it's how your band grows, really.
Yeah.
But definitely using Facebook as your platform. If you can find any really good business management courses for music, definitely save up for them. They've definitely helped us. And just anything like that. And don't over promote. Just always sort of find yourself, go into all these sort of music management business courses and discover all the little secrets. But as I've said, I think experimentation is a very important part.
Okay. And Sam, do you agree with all of that? Do you have any other advice?
Yes. Well, yes. In my many, 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 many years. The first thing I would say, and it's not just for any musicians, it's for people and for life in general, is develop a thick skin. You have to develop a thick skin, because people will turn around and say your band's rubbish. They just will. Even if you were the greatest band in the world, even if you wrote Imagine for the first time, someone will still turn around and say you were rubbish and talentless. So you have to have a thick skin, and you have to always remind yourself why you do what you do and what your purpose is. You've also, as you can tell from our interesting story, is that a sense of humour is required, because life in general will throw a lot at you, and a sense of humour is a very good thing, because if you can laugh a lot of the problems away, you can get on well. I would also say as well is that for me, I have a really eclectic music taste. Like, I'm a music junkie. I love everything from like cheesy electro pop through to extreme metal and everything in between. I will literally sit, I have no shame, I'll sit and sing along to the cheesiest pop song ever. And I think that eclecticism is what helps you and drives you forward. And I would say that you have to remember, so no matter what you do, you'll always sound like yourself, and you are what you eat, as it were. So if you take in as much music as possible, eventually it will filter through. So even if, like, say, you're a guitar player, if you listen to just nothing but electronic music for a while with no organic instruments on there, it can teach you so much about composition and about music, and just to realise that less is more. Like, I'm getting into the habit now of trying to play the least amount of guitar on our stuff as possible. Not because I don't love guitar. I mean, I love guitar. I was listening to Van Halen earlier. I mean, I love guitar. But the difference is I just don't want to kill our music with my musical ego, saying, look at me, look how I can play. It's more just about saying, if I can get away with only recording one guitar track, or well, if a track needs 5 guitar tracks, I'll put 5 on there. It's just knowing what you need to do. Have a clear purpose. I'm lucky because obviously Tansy and I are married. Our band and our relationship and our life are as one, so we don't have anything separate. But if you're a band of, say, friends, like 4 people or 4 acquaintances, it's important you have that important discussion from the off about who you are and what you want. Like, if one of you really wants to have a successful career and wants to work really hard for it, but someone in the band just wants to sit around and treat practice as just an excuse to have a few beers and stuff like that, then you're going to have a conflict of interest straight away. You need to sort of be on the same page, really. Any other advice? Yeah, just try and do the best you can whenever you can, because you will make mistakes. And the idea being is that as long as you can say at the time, I did the best I could with the knowledge I had available and what I've learned, then that's what you can do. I mean, look at the things we've been through in our short existence as a band. A lot of other bands would have just said, maybe this is a sign that we should stop. Whereas for us, we just see it as a sign of well, this is all we can really do. Let's just keep going.
Yeah.
So you just have to stay strong and plow through it, because people will try and stop you. Society will try and stop you at various points. Life will try and stop you. But if you're really passionate about what you want and you love what you do and you do it because you have to do it, then and you're focused enough, then just keep going. Really, just keep doing it. Don't stop.
That's great advice from both of you. Great, especially after, like you said, the sense of humor because of the stuff you guys have gone through. Now, what 2 songs are we going to hear from you guys today?
Well, you're going to hear the opening track on Revolutions Part 1, which is Ghost City, and you're going to hear the third song of their Lost Thoughts. And the reason why we wanted to send them to you is because they reflect the 2 different moods of Revolutions Part 1.
Okay.
So Ghost City is lyrically about sort of, like Tansy said earlier, it was about gentrification and about how you basically have like areas of London effectively empty because you have people from like rich countries or people who are rich from abroad buying up loads and loads of properties because they're considered like nest eggs, but leaving them empty. So you've got great swaths of London where nobody effectively lives there. They might come on holiday like twice a year or 3 times a year, and it's effectively you walk through there and it's completely and utterly quiet. But what that does is it drives the property prices up and drives the rent up, so that everybody else who actually lives in London struggle to be able to afford to live. So that one's sort of like a social political one. And then Lost Thoughts is just a very mellow, relaxing, sort of dreamlike song. And that's sort of just about literally, well, I guess being lost in your thoughts, really, effectively. I mean, I'll pass you over to Tansy because she can feel you better with that one than me.
The Lost Thoughts was a little bit like, it's a bit of a sad one, it's a little bit like when someone passes away.
Okay.
Because most of the lyrics kind of lend itself to that, to somebody not being there. And I mean, there's not many lyrics because we wrote it as if it was just like you are gazing out and you're lost, basically. So most of those lines lend themselves to a past person. So it's basically putting yourself in that position that everyone knows. Because we've had a lot of people pass away quite recently, and mostly as we've gotten older, and it kind of affects you. So I think Lost Thoughts sort of represents that.
Okay.
That's all, and just the very acoustic style of the songs just lends itself to the lyrics, really.
It's very beautiful. But I love both songs, but knowing the backstory behind it, and I didn't know that about London, so I've learned something new. Now, people can purchase your music. You're on Bandcamp, and they can also go through your website, which is going to be on my website. Unfortunately, I can't link it. And that's victorient.cu.uk. It'll be up on my website, so people will be able to find you. This has been an amazing interview, just because of the stuff that you guys have gone through and that you're still going. I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed that you kept going, because I know a lot of people would have stopped. So I want to...
What doesn't kill you can only make you stronger.
Yeah, that's true. That is such a true saying. So thank you very much for coming on. I wish you guys great success. Like I said, if you want to release your singles to me as well, so I can throw them up on my website, I will do so. Make sure you tag me on Twitter when you're going to be performing live so I can share it. And you're on Twitter too. That's how I found you guys. So
Instagram, everything.
Yeah, and that's the way to be. You have to be social media. Thank God for social media nowadays. So anyways, you guys, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story, and going through all the fun we had before we actually found a way to record this. And I mean, Skype isn't 100% either, but I'm going to edit it a bit and see how it goes. But you guys sounded great. You could hear you, and that was the main point. I also have a part on my not my album. I don't have an album. I can't sing. Let me try that again. On my website, where if you want to come back and perform acoustically, it's called Allie's Artist Alcove, and it's artists that I've had on come back and via Skype, audio or video, because I've now figured out how to tape or record Skype while it's on. You can come back and perform 4 songs. I do that every Wednesday. So that's available as well. And yeah, just get, all your fans to retweet this and share this as much as possible, because the more they do, the more chance they're going to catch people that maybe haven't heard of you. And I'm going to do the same on my end. And I hope everything goes way better for you guys in the future than some of the things that have happened in the past. And thank you very much for coming on my show, you guys.
Thank you. Is there anything else you need us to do?
No, that's it. Just hang on a second. I'll talk to you in a minute. And thank you for joining me on Allie's Attic. Keep checking my website because you never know what kind of surprises you'll find in my attic. Cheers.